Hey, Impact Church! Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and welcome to our virtual service here at the end of 2024. Victor, can you believe it's already the end of 2024?
I can't believe it, man. It feels like we've done so much this year, and I'm so excited to kick it off next year as well.
Oh, it's going to be awesome time. We're so glad you guys are joining us. If you're new with us online today, my name is Brandon. I'm one of the pastors at Impact.
And I'm Victor. I'm a church planting resident at Impact.
And we're going to be walking you through our service today. I realize this may be a little bit different. We're not meeting at our normal meeting place, but our normal meeting place is we meet at a place called CYT, Christian Youth Theater, every Sunday morning. It's in the Southpoint area, right off of Interstate 95. We meet every Sunday morning at 10 o'clock a.m. We'd love to have you join us. We have kids ministry for those of you with kids. We've got, we're a multi-generational, multi-ethnic church that had just celebrated 3 years.
Yeah, it's so cool.
And I'd imagine we're going to talk about that a little bit in today's service as well. So we're so glad that you guys have joined us for our virtual service today. Victor, did you have a good Christmas?
Man, I had a great Christmas. Got to celebrate with Impact Church on Christmas Eve.
Wasn't that service so awesome?
It was so good.
It was so good. And you got an early Christmas present this year because you and your family just welcomed twins into the world.
Yeah, it feels like it was just yesterday, and Christmas is upon us, and they're still growing. It was great to celebrate Christmas with the twins for the first year.
That is so cool. And you really understand the phrase where it says, "No crying he makes," right? Because I'm sure twins don't cry when it's Christmas.
Oh, yeah, that's absolutely true.
Yeah, Victor, what's your favorite holiday treat?
Man, my favorite holiday treat has to be the wonderful Christmas candy that one of our members, Britta Kinsey, makes. She just makes the best Christmas.
It took her 2 minutes to get a shout out on this video.
Shout out Britta.
That is amazing. The Christmas candy is amazing. So good. Man, hopefully you guys are coming off of the Christmas high and the sugar high and had some good time with friends, family celebrating. And now as we look forward, that's what we're going to kind of be doing in our virtual service today. We're going to take a minute and we're going to look back on 2024. Some of the best moments of our church, some things we've seen God do. And then we're going to look ahead at 2025 and see, man, what could God be doing that we could join him in? And then you'll have some time sprinkled in to join us in times of worship. Some of our worship serve team is going to lead us in a couple of songs during this service. And then we'll end kind of getting to see a little bit of everybody who submitted some videos. So, and we got a couple of surprises along the way. So we're so glad that you guys have joined us, and buckle in, grab your hot chocolate, grab your PJs, wake your kids up, whatever you got to do, and make sure that you join us for the rest of this virtual service. Also, make sure that you are commenting in the comment section, share it on social media, and introduce people to Impact Church of Fredericksburg. We're glad you're here. Ready to go for a ride?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. well, here we are now sitting here in this empty space that we had no clue existed this time last year, but yet has become a little bit of a symbol of God's faithfulness to our church over this past year, and also a place, although just a building, but a place where we've been able to meet with God and draw near to God. So we are coming to you from Christian Youth Theater, CYT, right here in Fredericksburg, right off of I-95, because this is a new space where our church has allowed us to meet. With me, I also have another one of our elders, pastors here at Impact Church. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Wes. I'm one of the pastors here.
All right. Very well done. Very well done. And so, Wes, tell us a little bit, what we want to do is just kind of look back on 2024, because this is the time of year where we're already thinking about all the things we want to do next year. But sometimes we forget to look back on God's faithfulness this last year. When you look back on God's faithfulness in 2024, especially with Impact Church and this journey of planting a new church, what is something that sticks out to you?
Yeah, I just want to celebrate this new space. You know, back in January, we knew that we were going to be moving spaces, but didn't know where, and in fact spent a lot of time searching and asking the Lord and following leads and doing all the things that we were supposed to do. But when it came down to the wire, we had a plan and a vision and felt like this was where God was taking us, and it didn't happen. Some things fell through and it just wasn't what God had planned for us. And I think one of the coolest things that I see what God did was that in the span of about a week and a half, we went from, we don't know where we're meeting next week, to, hey, we have a space that's available, why don't you guys come? And just really celebrate the openness of CYT and allowing us to meet here and providing space for us and being gracious hosts. But also just the fact that our church really just rallied around the fact that the church is not the space that we need, it's the people that gather.
That's right.
And so when we think about like that time of meeting in homes and having a house church weekend, which was really great for our church.
You remember house church weekend?
That was
amazing.
It was amazing because we got to see how the church, I think, really got to see that it's not about where you are. It's about gathering together with God's people. And then being able to establish a meeting rhythm here that really lended itself to us being in a new place in the city, meeting new people, but also just continuing the mission that God's given us.
Yeah, that's amazing, especially if you're watching this and you're part of CYT or family is, we want to express our gratitude and thankfulness for your partnership with the local church here in Fredericksburg. And that was huge. I mean, to think about that journey, that in a week and a half, our church went from we have nowhere to meet to we're going to meet in this new space. I remember being right here, sitting in this spot on a stage at 7 o'clock in the morning, our first Sunday here, which was the first time most of our people had ever even seen this space. And just wondering, is anybody going to be able to find this place? Is anybody going to show up to this place? And do we really believe that church is about the people and not the building? And to watch our leaders, instead of stressing out, they started problem solving. And they started rallying and serving and being patient. And it was just incredible. We had one of our highest attendance Sundays of the whole year, our first Sunday in this space, having no clue how people found us. And that's, again, a testament to our church going, man, church is not where we meet. It's the fact that we are meeting together to worship God. So I love that.
Yeah, Brandon, that's mine. What about you? What's something that you look back and really celebrate?
Oh man, well, there's so much I could celebrate. One of the things that specifically come to mind, probably because we just got back from Athens, Greece, is celebrating our GO trips. GO standing for local outreach, where we celebrate what God's doing in our neighborhoods in Northern Virginia and the nations. And sometimes we take these trips, and we don't take trips just to go on vacation or just to do whatever. We're taking trips, right, to go and serve with ongoing partnerships to advance the gospel around the world. So this year we sent people out on mission through Impact Church to Athens, Greece, and Seoul, Korea. So in Korea, we sent a team out that was going to serve defectors from North Korea and share the gospel with them and help plant churches for defectors from North Korea so that one day maybe they can go back into North Korea and have ready-made churches to spread the gospel among the people there. So I was so thrilled our church was a part of that. And then in Athens, Greece, we continued our partnership really through serving refugees from all over the Middle East, sharing the gospel with many people who are Muslims and have never even heard the gospel of Jesus Christ before. But then, right before the end of the year, you and I had a special privilege to partner with our sending church, Impact Church Nova, to go ordain a pastor who was a refugee from Syria, who married a refugee from Egypt, who has a daughter who prefers to speak English in the country of Greece. Right. If you can connect all of those dots. And after 8 years of serving them, they said, now we have people who believe in Jesus. What do we do next? And we said, you plant a church. And so we went to ordain this man as a pastor and open up a brand new church plant in Athens, Greece for Arabic-speaking refugees.
Amazing.
So I celebrate the impact our church is having, yes, in our neighborhoods, yes, in Northern Virginia, but also in the nations. What are some other ways that you've seen God work this year, just off the top of your head?
You know, there's so many different ways that we've seen God work. I think about the work that we've done downtown, like with our Do Good Friday, where we set up at Her Camp Park and really intentionally invited people that don't go to Easter egg hunts or maybe don't even know what Easter is to come in and to celebrate with us. I think about continuing work there where we've done multiple outreaches. We got to pass out hot cocoa in like 20-degree weather to people. We got to partner with some local apartments to do a family camp for mostly refugee families and be able to share with them the gospel over the summer. I think about our work with doing some human trafficking awareness events where we're trying to highlight that, where even in Fredericksburg, that is a hub and on the highway for human trafficking. I think about just so many different things that our church has done, that our community groups have done as they've owned neighborhoods to be able to do things where we're just seeing God continue to move in my.
It's amazing. I don't want to forget about our ESL program.
Oh man, yeah.
Like we had an ESL program who's reaching people from, speaking all these different languages at any point in time, half a dozen languages being spoken, all with the intention of building relationships that would lead to discipleship. And so we've just seen God do so many great things. Here's what I believe, Wes. I believe that a church that forgets to celebrate will soon have nothing to celebrate.
That's right.
And so we want to be a people of celebration. We want to be a people who look back on God's faithfulness, because these are not things we did. Yeah. Like if you were to look at a church our size, 3 years old, in the middle of Fredericksburg, Virginia, there's no reason we should have been able to play a part with what God was doing in all these ways. The reason is twofold. Number one, the faithfulness of you, Impact Church, to Jesus. And number two, Jesus's faithfulness to us. Because Jesus has been faithful to us, we get a chance to see things and see him do things around the world that a lot of Christians in America have never seen. And so we are grateful to you, Impact Church, but most of all, we are grateful to Jesus. So let me ask you, what are some things you need to celebrate? And why don't you guys put some of those in the comments? Things that you're celebrating personally that maybe happened in your life, maybe things happening with your family or your career or your school or new friendships, and ways that God has shown up and been faithful to you this year. And also put some comments about ways you've seen God be faithful in our church this year. And let's continue that spirit of celebration. And let's not be a people who forget to celebrate and won't have anything to celebrate.
That's right.
Amen?
Amen.
Amen.
Hey Impact Church, my name is Nate and I am one of the residents here at Impact Church Fredericksburg, and I just want to take 2 to 3 minutes out of our virtual service today to give a little plug for 2 things that our church is doing this Christmas and New Year season. One is our residency program. This residency program is a program where myself and a couple other guys are taking about 2 to 3 years to be trained up and be readied up to one day, Lord willing, to go out and start new churches that are going to start new churches. And so what this looks like is that we're taking about the first half-ish of this residency and we're focusing on what it means to be a godly pastor. So we're studying passages in 1st and 2nd Timothy and in Titus to be able to look at the realities of being a pastor and what that means from a spiritual perspective, to make sure that we can be healthy pastors to pastor healthy churches. And then secondly, once we have studied in the ins and outs of that or are continuing to work on that, we'll be looking at some of the competencies. What are some of the ins and outs, the nuts and bolts of what it looks like to start a brand new church, so that one day we can be sent out by you, Impact Church Fredericksburg, to go start new churches that will then start new churches. But then two, the other thing I want to give a plug for is our Christmas offering. First of all, if you have already given to the Christmas offering, thank you so much. We have already raised this Christmas season almost $2,000 that is going to go directly to our global partners to see the gospel of Jesus Christ proclaimed among the nations. And so if you want to give maybe a end of year gift or some other type of gift to that Christmas offering, it is still available for you to give, where every single dime is going to go directly to our partners to see the gospel proclaimed among the nations. Thanks so much for tuning in again to our service, and let's see what's next.
All right, Victor, this has been a really great adventure to get to do this together. Now we're kind of at a part where we want to look ahead. And I know this may be difficult for some people because they say, I don't make resolutions. I don't, set goals. Just whatever God has is fine. But tell us a little bit about why it's important, you think, to have some goals, resolutions, words, whatever you want to call them, right? Why do you think it's important? What's the value in looking ahead?
Man, I'll tell you what, I was not much of a resolution guy or a word of the year kind of guy, but last year I made my word abide, and it really set the tone for the whole year, where I could really focus on my relationship with God even further. And looking ahead, my word of the year is going to be remember, and it's just going to be so good to just remember everything that God has done for me. I remember that I'm still not finished, that I still have a lot of growing to do. God's not done with me yet, and remembering, especially during this new year, that God is still working in each and every one of our lives.
I love that. Victor, how do you, somebody who may be watching and they're thinking, I want to look ahead, but how do you come up with this word, or how do you even start with some goals? How did you get that word? Did you pick it out of a hat? Were you playing Scrabble one day? Did you find a burning bush? What stood out to you about that word, remember?
Yeah, it's not something that you really look for. I think God just spoke to me in a moment where I needed a word from the Lord, and I was looking for it, and God told me through a faithful brother just a word of remembrance, and how important that was to kind of reflect on in this part of my life. And so, it might not come so easily to everybody, but I'll tell you what, once you ask God for it, He's faithful to give it to you.
Yeah, I love that. So I hear a couple of things there. One, you were looking for it. Lord, what do you have for me this upcoming year? And then two, when you heard it, you put it to your minds. You wrote it down. You made it a point so that you wouldn't forget it and say, hey, I think that's what I've been asking God for. So praying, asking God for it, intentionally looking for it, and then being intentional to write it down so you don't remember it, right? Or so you don't forget it, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And I love that. So as we start to look ahead to 2025, there's a lot to look forward to. And I want to encourage you guys to come take that adventure with us. And I want you guys to hear a little bit from Victor about some practical ways that we can be looking ahead. But now let's talk a little bit about how we can look ahead as Impact Church in 2025. Hey, Impact Church, Pastor Brandon here. I wanted to just share a word for you from the Lord as we think about looking ahead in 2025. And I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you this year to have some goals, make some commitments to the Lord. Don't be scared of that. We know it's going to shake out however God wants it to anyway. But don't be scared of intentionally pursuing Christ this year. I want to share with you at Impact Church, man, we've got some amazing things. We just celebrated 3 years as a church in 2024, and we've seen God do some amazing things. I feel like in 3 years as a church, we've already lived 23 years, and it's been really amazing to watch all that God has done in you and through you as a church. And I want you to know, everywhere I go, whether it's through Northern Virginia, DC, or even when I travel around the world, there are other believers who know of you, who are thankful for you and the impact you've made in their lives and in them hearing and knowing the gospel. And so thank you guys so much for that. But as we look ahead, we go, what does God have for us next? And while we may not know a lot of the things that will happen in our world, in 2020, no one could have predicted during this time that there was going to be an international pandemic. This time last year, we never could have predicted God was going to have us go on a journey and look for a new place for our church to gather. So while we don't know what all 2025 has in store, here's what we do know. We know God is the same. We know Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and will be forever. So we can put our trust and our hope in him. The other thing we can know for certain is that Jesus still wants us to fulfill the Great Commission. We can know for certain that if Jesus has not come back to make all things new, then we still have a job to do. And so I want to read to you from the book of Acts chapter 17. In the book of Acts chapter 17, in verse 6, it says, "And when they could not find them, they dragged Jason and some of the brothers before the city authorities, and they were shouting, 'These men who have turned the world upside down have come here also.'" And I want you to hear that as Christianity spread, as the gospel advanced throughout the world, even 2,000 years ago, it started as a movement in a city. And as the gospel advanced in that city, God brought life change to a city, and then he brought life change to the world. And I just wonder if we're building a reputation for our church and for the churches that we will start and the disciples we will make, of when we come around, people will say, "Oh, here are the Christians who have changed the world. Here are the followers of Jesus who everywhere they go, whether we put them in prison, whether we put them in exile, whether we put them on house arrest, wherever they go, they are turning the world upside down." See, guys, a movement of the gospel doesn't just build more church buildings. A movement of the gospel changes lives. A movement of the gospel changes people's hearts from the inside and the out. And then eventually, as the gospel changes people's hearts, it changes people's attitudes. And then it changes the way people live. See, the biggest gripe that people had with the religion of Christianity in the Bible is that to follow Jesus actually changed the way you lived. Any other religion, you can just tack it on to your life. It becomes part of your spiritual wellness. But when we follow Jesus, it's actually legit. It is so real that it changes who we are and it changes how we live. And I believe that that's what's most attractive to a world that is lost and hurting and broken, is to see that this is a Jesus who is alive. And because he's alive, he is actively changing lives around him. And so as people's lives are changed, as the gospel advances to them, then their culture changes, the attitude changes, the people around them start to change, businesses start to change, minds start to change, and then we see a city start to change. And as that city changes, then we see people moving out and about from that city, and they move on to other cities. And then what we find is that a state has changed. Now I'm speaking in our American language. And once a state has changed, and those businesses have changed, and people's hearts have changed, and lives have changed, and attitudes have changed, and the culture has changed, that can spread to the rest of the country. And as a country changes, then that can literally draw the attention of an entire watching world. Church, I just want you to know that in 2025, I don't know if we will accomplish or fulfill the Great Commission, which is to make disciples of all nations. I don't know if we'll fulfill that in 2025, but I know that we want to fulfill that in 2025. We want to fulfill that because Jesus said in Matthew 24:14 that when the gospel is preached to people in every nation, then the end will come. And what is the end? The end is when Jesus returns and he makes all things new and wipes away every tear from our eyes, and death doesn't exist anymore. And we long for that day in 2025. And so I want to encourage you, come be a part, because here's what I believe. I believe that if we see the gospel advance in the city of Fredericksburg, we are in a unique geographic position that we can see lives changed in our state capital in Richmond and in our nation's capital in Washington, D.C. Now, I want you to think for a second. If lives are changed in Fredericksburg and then lives are changed in Richmond and Washington, D.C., that could change lives in the whole state of Virginia. And then if lives are changed in Washington, D.C., the 7 million plus people that exist in the D.C. metro area, people from all over the world, literally every nation on earth is represented in Washington, D.C. If the gospel advances in Northern Virginia and Washington, D.C., it will literally change the world. The people from every nation will have access to the gospel, and as they go back to their nations or to their countries or impact their families that are in other nations, the gospel can spread and literally turn the world upside down from right here in the little town of Fredericksburg. And so I want to encourage you, I want to implore you, I want to challenge us as a church to be a church that says if the gospel advances here, then the gospel could advance to every nation. And man, we could be a people that if we see God change the city, we could see God change the world. And there's not many cities in our country that can be said. And so as we look forward to 2025, man, we've got an incredible residency program you've heard about, where we are training people up to go start new churches and make more disciples. We are raising up leaders through our leadership development processes, and we are making disciples. So our challenge this year, our focus this year is going to be to make disciples of Jesus, that in turn make disciples of Jesus, that in turn start community groups, that in turn will start other community groups, that in turn will add to the number of our church so that our church can start other churches. And as we do that, we believe we will see the gospel advance in our city, and ultimately we will see the gospel advance in the world. So I'm looking forward to 2025, and I know it may sound a little ambiguous and it may sound a little too simple, but this year we're going to put our focus exactly where Jesus said, to making disciples of all nations. I hope you guys will join us for the adventure, and let's keep living the dream. Oh man, wasn't that amazing?
That was so great.
How much fun was that? Getting a chance to look back and look ahead and all these great things. I had a blast today.
I had so much fun going through it all with you guys, and so excited for 2025 and what that brings.
Oh, it's going to be great. I loved getting a chance to look back with Wes and think about all the amazing ways God's been faithful to us, and then getting a chance to look ahead and think about man, I cannot wait to see what God's going to do in 2025, and getting a chance to hear a couple of Christmas songs and from our worship team. That was just a really cool time. Did you have a good time?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna need a moment to just take it all in, because you guys highlighted so much, and we're just so looking forward to 2025.
Yeah. Hey, what are you doing for New Year?
Man, I'm actually, celebrating Dominican New Year's, because they get to go to sleep an hour earlier, and the twins, that just, it works out so much better.
Hey, I may want to do that too. Yeah. Absolutely. That's a great idea. Well, hey, before we head out, just want to give you guys a couple of announcements, a couple of things to be aware of.
Yeah, so we're back in person on January 5th, 10 a.m., 5024 Southpoint Parkway. We're going to have a chili cook-off for our community groups, and so it's going to be so much fun. Bring your spoons, or we'll have spoons for you if you forget, and it's going to be awesome a way to kick off the new year.
I love chili. I mean, this is going to be so much fun, and a way to kick off our community groups, eat some chili fellowship. I can't wait to be back in person with you guys. I know we're going to have a great time together as we celebrate the new year on January 5th. Hey, a couple of other things also, don't forget that if you have a prayer request this week, we would love to pray for you and connect with you. You can feel free to send us a direct message, or you can text our number to give us a prayer request, or you can also just leave a comment. and we will get that comment. We would love to pray for you during this holiday season. Also, if you would like to give your tithes, your offerings, or towards our Christmas offering, we would love to have you do that, and you see a link there, and probably will find a link in the comments as well. To be able to give online, again, your tithes and offerings, since we're not meeting in person, or towards our Christmas offering, which 100% is going to missions around in our neighborhoods, Northern Virginia and the nations. So I hope you guys had a good time. Vic, thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah,
it's so much fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Pastor Brandon. And thanks for joining us too. We can't wait to see you again on January 5th.
Yeah, so hang out just for a little bit because we've got a couple of surprises here at the end. Man, hope you guys have had a very Merry Christmas and hope you have a Happy New Year.
Hey Impact, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Feliz Navidad y próspero año nuevo.
Que Dios los bendiga a todos. God bless everybody, and I can't wait for a whole new year with y'all.
Yes, we are looking forward to the new year with Impact Church. We love you guys.
Hey Impact, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Hey Impact, Merry Christmas.
And Happy New Year. We love you.
Hey Impact Church.
We want to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
We love you.
Merry Christmas, Impact, and Happy New Year.
Hi Impact. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, Impact Church. Happy New Year.
Hey Impact, Merry Christmas
And Happy New Year.
Hi Impact, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.